Hey, what's up, book boos and bays? I am back with another book review. This one here is going to be on The Flower Bearers, and this is by Rachel Eliza Griffiths. What a beautiful book cover this is. I love this. And throughout the reading of the book, you come to understand what the flower bearers are. They are apparently girls that were responsible for carrying the flowers in a funeral ceremony in different cultures and how they operate during their memorial services. And so this is a memoir. This is an autobiographical book here. And so Rachel is an author and a poet specifically who's been NAACP nominated and some other accolades. And so I, however, was not familiar with Rachel or her story. And so I went into this blindly at the suggestion of a member of our book club. This was our April book read. And I'm so grateful. This book has given me so much. It gave me so much of what I did not even know that I needed. And so again, I tend to do my book reviews without any spoilers. And similar to how I teach as a professor, I often say I've done my job if my students leave my course with more questions than answers, right? Because I think growth and learning and self-reflection and things of the nature are lifelong journeys, and we should not be going into the classroom thinking that we can check boxes and our work is done. And so that's how I want to do my book reviews most often, give you something to think about, things that make you go, that's the 90s in me. Also just, leaving you with some questions that you might want to consider while reading or after reading whatever book is I'm reviewing. So with this one here, right out the gate, this book is really centered on grief. And grief is showing up in a lot of different ways in this book. Oftentimes, and this came up in our book club discussion, oftentimes we do have thoughts about what does it mean when we lose a partner? What does it mean when we lose our parents? And God forbid, what does life look like on the other side if those of us with children lose our children? One of the relationships that we found we don't often think about is what does life look like without your best friend? And what does that mean the next day to go on and try and find yourself again with this person, especially if this is like a lifelong friend and you've been through the trenches together. There's no one in this world that knows you better, has been there for you more, even outside of your romantic partnerships, right? And so what does grief and life on the other side look like following the loss of a close friend? So that was a lot to think about because, I've had fleeting thoughts of like, oh, there's going to come a time when one of us is going to have to lay the other to rest. And that is as far as that thought goes. I don't think about it too long. That's not something I want to spend energy and time thinking about, but this book really made me sit with that. So grief shows up in a lot of different ways in this book. Mental health challenges show up a lot of different ways in this book outside of grief and also those that are a part of the grieving process. Another thing that shows up is celebrity and politics and how do the two intersect and in some ways disrupt and interrupt people's lives. And so what does that mean? We have a partner who has fame, and maybe that fame is associated with resistance politically and things of that nature. And what does that look like when it shows up at the front door of someone who hasn't lived a life of celebrity and has not had to, be seen as a political opposition and things of that nature? And so that shows up in this book as well. However, I'm going to share a few quotes from the book to really help you kind of get an idea of what is happening throughout this reading and hopefully again ignite some thoughts and questions for yourself. So the first one I'm going to show is one of the most powerful quotes moments in the book. One of the members of the book club pointed out. This is when Rachel, the author of the book, her mom is passing away, and that's not really a spoiler because the book isn't really centered on Rachel losing her mother. So when I say grief, that's a piece of the grief, but there are many other layers of grief happening here. So as the mom is transitioning, she says, "Rachel, you're stronger than you think." And Rachel responds, the next sentence says, "That was the last day of my childhood." And I bring this up specifically as I think about being a Black woman, even a Black girl, because it can happen so early for some of us. We are adultified. We are expected to be stronger. We are expected to hold things together. We are expected to basically wear an S on our chest and be super women. And that's the strong Black trope and things of that nature. And so here she is at this very sensitive moment. And her mother, who's passing away, is literally passing that baton to her. You are strong. You can do this. You can handle this. And it's unfortunate. What I can appreciate, though, is that I feel like, so I'm Gen X. I am a couple weeks away from 50 years old. And I feel like millennials and younger are really breaking that generational cycle, that curse of Black women have to do all, be all, see all, hear all, manage it all, whatever the case may be. And you see this discourse playing out online more than ever, where people are talking about the only daughter or the firstborn daughter being like the family manager and all of that. And people are really pushing back on that. So I appreciate that. So that's something to think about with that quote there. The next quote that I want to share, this one is the one I brought up in a discussion at the book club because it really hit me in a lot of different ways. And this is a moment where she's traveling to the hospital to see if one of her loved ones is alive or not. They told her to immediately get to the hospital. There's been a situation, but she doesn't know if she's coming to view a body or she's coming to meet a loved one who is undergoing treatment or whatever to survive whatever has happened. So in that moment, as she's heading to the hospital, she says, "When can I hope to have hope?" And that sense is, oh my gosh, so many thoughts came to mind when I thought about that. Our current social political climate here in the U.S. I thought about with the recent passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson and his infamous Keep Hope Alive. I thought about tied to both Reverend Jackson and the social political climate of Barack Obama and how so much of his campaign was rooted in hope that we can make a change, that we can be a different America, and that we can see someone rise to the office of presidency in a way that we had not seen previously. And so, I try to be optimistic. Pessimism does have his way with me sometimes, but that statement of when can I hope to have hope just, that touched me deeply. So I really appreciated that sentence there. Another one, and this is a poem, a snippet of a poem that was written by Aisha, who is Rachel's best friend, who plays a huge role in this memoir. And so I'm going to read a little bit of it. It says, again, this is Aisha's poem, who is Rachel's best friend. "It is not lost on me that one day someone responsible, someone who loves me enough, will dispose of this worn, wrinkled container after my spirit soars on." again, just pull at your heartstrings, right? A couple things I want to point out. When she says this worn and wrinkled, that is with the optimism and the hope and the expectation that we will live long enough to be worn and wrinkled. And so that made me think about the blessing that it is to grow older. And I know a lot of people can feel some kind of way about it, and everyone has a personal journey. But when I tell you I'm so excited in my Point of Sister era, I'm so excited. And I am so grateful because I know so many people who did not make it. There are so many more that I would never know that did not and won't make it. It is a gift. And so this worn and wrinkled body, that just, oh yes, let's grow old. And then also just thinking about who and what we leave behind, that someone responsible and someone who loves me enough, because that is a special responsibility. That is a special role that someone plays in that final service of getting one to their resting place, whatever that may be, whatever that may look like, whatever practices and traditions or what have you. But again, so this book is full of quotable lines, pieces of poems, whatever, questions, whatever. Like the whole book is quotable just about. So I have to pace myself. So I'll just be running around here marking up everything. The last one I want to share is there is a moment where Rachel and a different friend, not her best friend Aisha, are going to a cemetery to pay their respects to someone. And the friend says, "Oh my gosh, we are not ready. We don't have flowers to leave at the gravesite." And Rachel responds with, "It's not about any flowers. Girl, we're her flowers." Took me out. Took me out. Do you hear me? That is such a powerful line. Oh my gosh, because it is so real. It's not about the flowers that we are laying at the grave sites of loved ones. It's about us still feeling connected to, still in a sense wanting to fellowship with the individuals that have transitioned and have left this earthly realm behind, and taking a seat at the grave site, standing at the grave site or what have you, talking to, sharing memories, thinking about, meditating with, whatever your practice is, whatever it is that you do, if you choose to visit grave sites. It's really and truly not. So often we get caught up in the ceremonial aspects of things and whatever the cultural norms may be. And she's so right. It's not about the flowers. We are the flowers. We are the flowers when those of us who are living take time out of our lives to go and, again, fellowship, sit with, meditate with, cry with those who have left behind. And so when she says, "Girl, we're the flowers," absolutely love it. So this book, oh my gosh, there are layers to it. Yeah, I highly recommend it. You know me, I'm off of mood and vibes, and that cover alone garnered my attention. So I'm excited about it just on sight. But when I read it, I was just like, I had no idea where this was going to take me, and was it such a beautiful, painful, but beautiful journey. And so for that, I'm grateful. Shout out to Rachel Eliza Griffiths. She did her big one with this one. I'm excited to dig into her catalog and see what else she has out there. And then some of the other names that she mentions, her colleagues, her other writing friends, and different artists across mediums. So yeah, want to learn more about them as well. But the quote on the front of the book says, "This singular memoir stunned me," by Mary Carr. And that, so real, stunned, fascinated, enthralled, like you name it, I was in. I ran through this one really quickly. Great read. So with that, again, The Flower Bearers by Rachel Eliza Griffiths. Highly recommend. All the stars. 5 is not enough. All the stars. As SZA says on the Black Panther soundtrack, all the stars have burned. Maybe this night, think the night might let me go. Auntie don't know the words, but you catch the rhythm. You know what I'm talking about. Stay safe out there. Stay informed, and I will talk to you later.